welcome to the academyofworship.org YouTube channel. My name's Chris, and today we are talking about amps, specifically the Vox AC15 C1. This model has the Celestion greenback in it, but you can get another model that has the Celestion Alnico blue in it. I thought I'd start talking about amps that are fairly common out there with guitar players. So Vox. What makes a Vox a Vox? Now there's three main types of amps out there that people compare everything to. One of the brands is Vox. So what makes a Vox a Vox? Well, typically when people refer to the Vox sound, they usually use words like chime. Overall, Vox amps don't have a whole lot of bottom end. An AC15 is an amp that was introduced quite a long time ago and was made famous by some very large bands, particularly from the UK. It has one 12-inch speaker, although there are models that have two, but today we're talking about the one that has a single speaker in it. And the features on the AC15 are pretty good. With that, let's head on over and take a look at the amp. Starting over here with the input section, we've got the normal and top boost sections. This is a 2-channel amplifier. They are not foot switchable. You just change where you're plugged in. Right here we have the normal volume, which controls the gain structure on the normal channel. Right now we're at like 50%. Right here we have the top boost, EQ, and gain or volume section. This will come into play once we plug in over here to the top boost. It does have reverb and it does have tremolo. Right now we're not using them, but I will show them off in a little bit later. And then over here in the master section we have a tone cut and a volume knob. And we'll get to specifically what the tone cut does in just a minute. So right now, as you can see, I'm plugged into the normal channel of the amplifier. Now, the normal channel is really simplistic. You plug into it, there's no EQ, there's simply a gain or volume knob. You can use the reverb and you can use the tremolo, and then of course control your overall volume of the amp with the master volume section. This channel is particularly good with pedals. Most people who get into the AC15s tend to like this channel when using a pedal board, especially when you're putting drives in front of the amplifier. It seems to react better. The reason being is it's not quite as harsh sounding on the normal channel. It's a little bit more neutral, and to me has a little bit more bottom end, and the high end isn't as harsh. This amp, when paired with a Strat style guitar, sounds amazing when you're in some of the in-between positions, but it also sounds great with humbuckers, and I'll show that off in just a minute. So the normal channel, what does it sound like? Well, let's check it out. Right now, here's my clean sound with no pedals turned on, as well as using the bridge pickup. All my tone knobs are up 100% on the Strat. There is quite a bit of gain on tap on this amplifier. I tend to, on the normal channel, set my gain around 50%. That tends to be a great starting point for pedals and things like that. If we roll it all the way up to 100%, I'll show you how much gain it's got on the normal channel. As you can hear, it breaks up great. It sounds awesome, and this even works with some pedals in front of it, especially gains and things like that if you want to push it a little bit. While we're on the normal channel, I'll go ahead and demonstrate the reverb as well as the tremolo, just so you can hear what they sound like. But first, we'll back our gain back down to about 50%. First, we'll check out the reverb. I'll go ahead and switch to position 4 or position 2, depending on how you look at the guitar, but we're using the bridge and the middle pickup together. There is quite a bit of reverb on tap. That was only 50%. So let's turn it all the way up and see what it sounds like. It's pretty good. Sounds great. Great spring reverb. Awesome stuff. Let's go ahead and turn that all the way back down and listen to the tremolo. The depth knob is what controls turning on and off the tremolo, so all the way down it's completely off. I have it about 50% with the speed as slow as it can go. Check it out. Let's go 50% on the speed. Now let's dime both of them, see what it can do. I love the tremolo on this amp. So if you need that in your arsenal, but you don't really want to buy a dedicated pedal, this amp can provide it in spades. It's awesome. Before we get into the master section, I want to go ahead and switch over to the top boost channel to talk a little bit about that. All right, as you can tell, I switched over to the top boost channel by just plugging into it. The normal volume is no longer used. Now we're using this section, the top boost. I set the channel up to be 50% across the board. So the bass is at 50, treble's at 50, and the input volume or the gain for the top boost channel, they call it a volume, is 50%. We no longer have tremolo or reverb engaged, and we we've left the master section just like it was. Let's check out what it sounds like. I'll switch to the bridge pickup on the Strat. Immediately you can hear this channel has a bit more high end and it's a little harsher. The good thing though is you have an EQ section to mess with. So let's see what happens at their extremes. So if we turn the bass all the way up, keep the bass there and turn the treble all the way down. Let's do the opposite. Let's turn the bass all the way down, the treble all the way up. Yikes. On an amp like this, that is an extreme setting that will definitely hurt your ears, but I figured you should hear it. The interesting thing about the EQ section on the AC15 is that they're interactive. So the mid frequencies actually change depending on where these two knobs are set. Really, this EQ section is something you play around with until you find what you like. I don't tend to use the top boost section very often, but when I do, I tend to start about 50% on both knobs and see where it goes from there. Let's listen to the gain available on tap. You heard it at 50%. I'm gonna go ahead and dime it and show you what's on tap. So this amp's not going to win any gain awards, but it does have plenty on tap if you wanted to use it just by itself. And it's been made famous with the gain on board for many, many years. Now this amp is a very loud amp. I have it just above what you would call bedroom levels, but this amp, as you can tell with the master section, is barely turned up. If you crank this guy, it would get really loud. So one of the magical things about a Vox is how good they sound cranked up. Because of the studio situation I'm in and I don't want to blow my ears out, I'm not going to crank it up that loud. A lot of the great sounds that come out of Vox amps are at really high volumes. So just know that that's there. Things do change when you're at that kind of volume. But speaking of the master section, let's talk about that tone cut knob. As you can tell, I have it just over 50%. Now what this does is change the actual EQ characteristics of the power section of the amplifier. So basically everything after your preamp section. So right now I have some of the high cut rolled off. So as you go clockwise, it rolls off high end. As you go counterclockwise, it enables all of the high end to come through. So right now I have some of it rolled off. Let's listen to it all the way off so you can hear all the high end this would naturally give you. Once again, we're still in the top boost section. All right, let's roll it back up. If we turn it all the way up, that's one more cool thing about these amps is you actually do have a lot of tone shaping possibilities. It doesn't end with the top boost controls. That's enough Strat. Let's check out what this amp sounds like when we run some humbuckers through it. All right, I've got my Les Paul style guitar, some humbuckers. I haven't touched the amp since the last sound you heard. Let's take a look. So we're still in the top boost channel. Everything's at noon, no reverb, no tremolo, tone cut set right about what, 1 o'clock or so, and the master is still at the same place. Let's hear what that sounds like. Wow, it hits it a lot harder. There's a lot more gain even at that setting. So a humbucker, even a slightly hot one, this isn't that hot of a humbucker, can really push this amp up and over and sound really great. Also, humbuckers are a lot warmer. So if you notice, the high end of this amp changed quite a bit and it's not quite as piercing, especially in the top boost channel, which can kind of get that way. I'm gonna go ahead and just switch over to the normal channel, same settings. So it's not quite as clean now that we're at noon. With the Strat, it wasn't hitting the amp as hard and it was much cleaner. If we want to clean it up, you could roll that volume back and clean up the guitar. Now you notice this amp doesn't have a whole lot of low end to it, which is good and bad. It helps you in the mix with other musicians to kind of cut through and sit in your own place and you're not fighting with the bass guitar. It also doesn't sound as full as some other amps you may have or may have heard. It's a trade-off, but there's definitely a sound to a Vox amp, and that's why they've been famous for as long as they've been famous. I hope this has been helpful. Maybe you're looking to add an amp to your collection, and maybe you're looking to buy your first amp. Either way, it's a reliable amp. This amp is heavy, however. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to add one to your collection. It's not the lightest thing in the world. But they sound great, they play great, and they're built like a tank. So there you go, a Vox AC15 C1 with a greenback speaker in it. Consider it, check it out. Go check one out at your local music store. It's almost guaranteed to be there. They're really popular. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps me out. Also comment below if this content is helpful, if you enjoyed it. It lets me know that this stuff is worth creating for you guys. Leave a thumbs up if you did like the video. That also helps. And lastly, please go check out academyofworship.org. support. I've got a free gift over there for you. Until next time, like always, go flip some switches, turn some knobs, and go see what you like. See you guys later.